You know, when I started working this project about a year and a half ago, almost a year and a half ago, my experience with the aerospace industry was watching Star Wars. Nothing wrong with that, but, you know, and I'm a Star Wars fan, as is Mr. Elon Musk too. But I have totally immersed myself in the aerospace industry since then. What I have found, and also what the company has also found, was that the Texas Aerospace Commission had already done a study more or less around the time when Raymond was looking at getting into the game, that South Texas could actually rival Cape Canaveral in regards to the assets that we have as far as our geography is concerned. Why Boca Chica? Also what I found was that we were one of 10 sites originally considered 50 years ago, way back when they were looking to, when NASA was looking to launch their rockets into space, and now we know that that's Cape Canaveral. So I found that very interesting, how life has now come in full circle, and we're here now looking at where we're getting our second opportunity. You know, we're right next to the Gulf. There's a whole lot of nothing, as I like to say. There's a lot of undeveloped land in that area. What this company also likes is that we're a logistics and manufacturing hub. That's what we're known for. Not necessarily South Padre Island, but, you know, the Brownsville area, Cameron County, we make things. That's what we do. The yellow pushpin is the actual site that they're looking at building their launch site. It's basically where Highway 4 ends. Boca Chica, like I said, is 5 miles south from here. The red pushpin, the area between the red pushpin and the yellow pushpin, that's where they would be looking at to build their launch command center. The yellow pushpin indicates where they are proposing to build the launch site. So it's the high, dry grass area right before you get to the actual surf. Here's an artist rendition where they superimposed it to our beach. There's more of a close-up where you can see, and they have a Falcon Heavy parked right there on the actual launch pad. There's been a lot of people referring to this particular project as a spaceport. This is not a spaceport. This would be an actual rocket launch site. A spaceport is really just an airport with an extended runway. The spacecraft would take off horizontally, very similar to a jet, and then it would get close to space, but it really won't crack the atmosphere and get into space. Space station, as you can see, we saw the image there earlier. It's there's a few of them out there. The biggest one is the International Space Station, which is shared by 14 countries, I believe. Rocket launch site, that's what we're looking at for this area. A launch site is an area with either one launch pad or several launch pads, a huge safety area, and these are used, what I like to say, for the big boys. So this is for the big rockets that are actually going into space. They're flying vertically. Launch Command Center, that's the one we're most familiar with, is Houston. That's where the controllers will actually push the button for liftoff. They're also considering, in addition to the actual launch site, building a launch command center here in proximity to the launch site. Then you have a spaceport launch complex. That's an area that has several launch sites and spaceports all in one. The biggest of its kind is the one at Cape Canaveral, at Kennedy Space Center. People are asking about the Space Shuttle. If we would be flying the Space Shuttle from this area, well, the answer is no, because the Space Shuttle was retired last year. What they would be doing from here is flying or launching the Falcon 9. We'd be looking at about 10 launches of the Falcon 9, which is the images that you saw earlier. And then also the Falcon Heavy, which is a pretty, and I'll have an image of that one here. It's a pretty big rocket, and there would be 2 launches of that one. And the purpose of doing the launches here would be for getting those satellites and payloads into space. There's the diagram of what the rocket looks like, and what I like about this slide is that it shows what the rocket looks like next to the what we know as Space Shuttle. It's a little bit bigger, and it's faster than the Space Shuttle. Here's a series of rockets that this company has right now. It's the F9, the Falcon 9, the F9 Heavy, which is the Falcon 9, the Falcon Heavy, and then the Dragon Crew. For the exception of the Dragon Crew, the other ones are the ones that we'll be looking at launching from here. The Dragon Crew, as it says, it would be taking astronauts into space. Because the astronauts would be from NASA, they could not do it from here. They would have to do that from Cape Canaveral. In order to launch a rocket and get it into space, there's a few things you have to keep in mind that they need in order to do this. One is you need to be as closest as you can to the equator. The closer you are to the equator, the less fuel you're going to use to get into outer space, thus a heavier payload. You need to go in an easterly direction over a major body of water. Obviously, if something happens, you want that rocket or those parts to fall in the ocean. You need to be away from a populated area. And another reason why you launch in an easterly direction is that you're using the Earth's rotational speed. So it's kind of like a slingshot. You're using that speed to get you up there faster, quicker, less fuel, bigger payload, more money in the end. There's a picture of Mr. Elon Musk. He's sitting on a Tesla high-end sports car, and you've got the Dragon capsule on the back. He's the founder of SpaceX, founded the company in 2002 with 10 employees, and he's also the co-founder of PayPal. So that's where he made his money way back when. He owns Tesla Motors. He also owns Solar City, which they manufacture the solar panels. And he's also the inspiration behind the film character, not the comic book character, but the film character for Iron Man. So I found that very interesting. So he's kind of like the real Tony Stark. He already has $3 billion in launch business. So he should have been launching yesterday. I mean, he's already got the business. He's got business with the U.S. government, NASA, as well as domestic and international governments. On SpaceX, they're headquartered in Hawthorne, California. That's just outside of LA. That's their aerospace cluster that they have there. He has a launch site at Cape Canaveral, Florida, and he's already building the second one in Vandenberg Air Force Base in California. He's got a research center and test site in McGregor, Texas. He's been there about almost 10 years now. He's got offices in D.C., Houston. They're at about 1,800 employees right now. Last year, they were at about 1,400. So you can see how this company is really on super growth mode. Numbers-wise, we're looking at $80 million in capital investment. That's the image right there of the Falcon Heavy. 600 direct jobs, $50 million in direct annual salary. They will be paying 50% above average county wages. When you have one project that can bring up your average county wage by several percentage points, I mean, that's who does not want that kind of a project? That's how you build true wealth within a community. We're looking at 400 indirect or induced jobs, so the total would be about $70+ million in annual economic impact. And here's the key, especially for you all. For every unmanned launch at Cape Canaveral, unmanned being that there's no astronauts in there, they attract 40,000 visitors. I don't think we'll attract 40,000 visitors. We might be wrong. I'm figuring 10 to 15, maybe 13,000. Nonetheless, I don't think we still have enough rooms for 10,000 people. Nice problem to have. Beyond the numbers, the internship opportunities, Space Visitor Center, why can't we have one now? The museums, opportunities for the new curriculums, the university, the college, entrepreneurs, that's what we're known for here too. There's going to be plenty of opportunities for our entrepreneurs. And then there's a project in our industry that's referred to as being outside the norm. We traditionally work manufacturing projects. This one's just out there, so we're treating it differently because it just doesn't fit that mold that we have. Whenever you get that opportunity, again, to develop a cluster from scratch, it's just exciting.